All right, today we're going to dig up some forgotten wisdom about fruit trees. We're talking about the ones that don't just survive, but actually thrive in what most people would call bad soil. If you've ever been frustrated by garden advice that just doesn't work for your yard, well, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Does this sound painfully familiar? You do everything you're supposed to. You buy the expensive amendments, you test the soil, you water it perfectly, and you just watch your tree get weaker and weaker until it finally gives up. It's just so frustrating, and trust me, so many of us have been there. And of course, when you go back to the garden center, they probably told you, oh, it's your ground. It's too much clay, it's too sandy, it's too rocky. But what if that's the completely wrong way to look at it? What if the problem was never your soil to begin with? Think about it. For thousands of years, people have been harvesting fruit from hillsides that were basically just stone, and from sandy ground that modern agriculture would just write off. The secret isn't about fixing the soil. It's about choosing the right tree. It's time we brought that ancient knowledge back.
So we're going to count down 13 of these incredible trees, and this is part 1. We're going to start with some old world wonders. These are trees that have been feeding people for centuries across Europe and Asia in the absolute toughest conditions you can imagine.
Kicking off our list at number 13 is the mulberry. You know, if your grandparents or great-grandparents had an old homestead, you can almost guarantee they had one of these. And there's a simple reason for it. These trees will grow just about anywhere.
I mean, just look at how tough this thing is. It doesn't care if you have wet, sticky clay or dry, loose sand. Poor nutrition that would kill an apple tree, the mulberry just shrugs it off. Plus, you get fruit in just a couple of years. And here's the best part. The berries are so delicate they can't be shipped, so growing your own is literally the only way to taste them fresh.
Next up, at number 12, the fig. To really get the fig, just picture the Mediterranean, right? You see these trees growing straight out of cracks in ancient stone walls, with barely a handful of soil to hold on to. They are the definition of a survivor.
Now get this, because it completely flips what we're usually told about gardening. If you give a fig tree rich, perfect, amended soil, you'll get a ton of leaves, but not much fruit. But if you plant it in poor, rocky soil, that stress actually signals the tree to produce more fruit, and that fruit is way sweeter. Your bad soil is actually its secret weapon.
So the bottom line is, that rocky alkaline ground you thought was hopeless, that's what a fig tree calls home. A single tree can give you 20 to 50 pounds of fruit a year, and most of them don't even need a second tree to pollinate. The fig tree is your answer.
At number 11, we've got the pomegranate. This is a tree that comes from the Middle East, from near desert conditions. It evolved to grow in soil that looks more like gravel than anything you'd put in a flower pot. It is built for harshness.
And its real superpower is its tolerance for salty and alkaline soil, conditions that would just fry most other fruit trees. And on top of that, a UCLA study confirmed it has the highest antioxidant activity of any common fruit. So if you're dealing with salty or alkaline soil, the pomegranate was basically made for you.
Coming in at number 10 is a fruit most Americans have probably never even heard of, the jujube, or the Chinese date. But get this, in China, it's been a major food source for over 4,000 years. The USDA even looked at it for land reclamation projects because it can grow in soils so bad that literally nothing else will.
The jujube just takes toughness to a whole other level. It handles extreme alkaline soil and droughts that would kill even a pomegranate. And because no pests in North America recognize it, it's basically problem-free here. The fruit tastes like a cross between an apple and a date, and it'll even dry right on the branch for easy long-term storage. How cool is that?
Okay, so we've looked at some old world legends. Now, let's shift our focus and bring it home to our own backyard with some native powerhouses. These are fruits that were growing right here, perfectly adapted, long before anyone even thought about planting an orchard.
At number 9, we have the largest native fruit in North America, the pawpaw. This thing is amazing. It tastes like a tropical custard, kind of like a banana-mango mix. Thomas Jefferson grew them, and the Lewis and Clark expedition famously survived on pawpaws when their other food ran out.
So what makes the pawpaw perfect for problem soil? Well, it evolved in the damp, heavy, acidic clay of forest floors. So that soggy, wet spot in your yard that drowns apple trees, that's not a problem for the pawpaw. That's its happy place, the exact conditions it needs to make that incredible fruit.
Next, at number 8, is the elderberry. Now, this isn't just a fruit, it's practically a medicine cabinet on a stick. It's been used for centuries to support the immune system, and right now, the commercial demand for elderberry syrups and products is just exploding.
And here's why it's such a game changer for so many people. Elderberry loves the exact spots a lot of us struggle with: wet clay and poor drainage that would rot the roots of most other plants. You'll be harvesting in just a couple of years, and it can turn that boggy, useless corner of your property into a source of seriously valuable syrups and preserves.
Rounding out part 1 of our countdown at number 7 is the serviceberry, which you might also know as a Juneberry. Its claim to fame is simple but amazing. It gives you the very first fruit of the entire growing season. We're talking ripe berries while other trees are still just flowering. This native tree evolved all across North America in rocky, shallow, acidic soil. So that spot where you can't even dig a proper hole for a regular tree, where you hit rock just a few inches down, that's exactly where the serviceberry wants to live. It gives you this delicious blueberry-like fruit from ground you thought was completely useless.
So here's the big takeaway from all this. You do not need to spend a fortune trying to fix your soil. The problem isn't your soil. The problem is we've been sold the wrong plants. You just need to choose the trees that already call your kind of soil home.
Okay, let's put this all together in a quick little cheat sheet. If you've got wet, acidic clay, you're looking at pawpaw or elderberry. If your problem is rocky and alkaline soil, think fig, pomegranate, or jujube. For that shallow, acidic, rocky ground, serviceberry is your best friend. And if your soil is just generally awful in every way, the mulberry is your go-to survivor.
We've just covered 7 amazing trees that can turn your problem soil into a productive oasis. But believe it or not, the best is yet to come. The countdown from number 6 to number 1 has some even more incredible solutions, including a tree so valuable that American pioneers made sure to plant it on every single homestead. You are not going to want to miss it.
So if this got you thinking, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you do not miss part 2. And hey, I'd really love to hear from you. Head down to the comments and tell me, what kind of problem soil are you dealing with? Thanks for watching.
All right, welcome back. This is part 2 of our deep dive into the absolute toughest fruit trees out there. You know that feeling when you plant a beautiful tree from the nursery and it just struggles? Yeah, we've all been there. Well, you're in the right place because we are about to finish our countdown and reveal the true champions of bad soil. So last time, we covered some seriously impressive survivors. But trust me, these next 6, they're on a whole other level. These are the trees that literally laugh in the face of soil where other plants are just guaranteed to give up. So, you ready? Let's dive right in. Okay, kicking off our top 6, coming in at number 6 is a fruit that I bet your great-grandmother knew all about. She probably cooked with it all the time. But today, the modern food industry has pretty much forgotten it even exists. This is the quince. Now, think about it. Before we had refrigerators, this thing was an absolute staple in the kitchen. Why? Because it's loaded with pectin, which made it perfect for making jams, jellies, and these thick pastes that could last the entire winter. It was a way to turn a tough fruit into a food source you could count on all year long. And this is why it's such a game changer for so many of us gardeners. Just look at this list. It doesn't just tolerate heavy, wet clay, it thrives in it. That's the kind of soil that would kill an apple or a pear tree, no question. And on top of that, it's self-fertile, so you only need one, it's super disease-resistant, and it can live for decades with you barely lifting a finger. I mean, come on, that is the definition of a low-maintenance survivor. You know, this quote really hits the nail on the head. We've lost touch with these amazing plants that are already perfectly suited for the very land we've been told is bad. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Maybe the problem isn't the soil at all. Maybe we're just planting the wrong trees. All right, let's move on to number 5. And for this one, we're going even further back in time. We're talking about a fruit that was so common in the Middle Ages that it shows up in Shakespeare and Chaucer. And yet today, most people have never even heard of it. Say hello to the medlar. This thing is literally a living piece of agricultural history. This tree helped feed medieval Europe, and it did it by growing happily in the exact kind of poor, shallow ground that a modern nursery would probably tell you is totally worthless. So, how do you even eat one of these? Well, the secret is this really fascinating process called bledding. Basically, you pick the fruit when it's rock hard, and then you just let it sit and ripen off the tree. It completely transforms the inside, making it soft and sweet. The flavor is totally unique, kind of like spiced apple butter or rich cinnamon applesauce. It's a taste right out of history. So what does this all mean for you? It means the medlar doesn't just put up with bad soil. Its natural toughness against pests and diseases makes it worlds apart from those delicate, coddled varieties you find at the garden center. Honestly, it just doesn't need our help to do its thing. Okay, coming in at number 4, we have a tree that's built for the modern world. I'm talking about a tree that can handle the punishing, unique challenges of our cities and suburbs. Yeah, this one is for all you urban gardeners out there. Now, here's a fun fact. Despite the name, the Cornelian cherry isn't actually a cherry. Nope, it's a member of the dogwood family. And that family tree, pardon the pun, is the secret to its incredible toughness. Just think about the worst kind of urban soil you can imagine. We're talking clay that's been compacted down like concrete by construction equipment, or soil polluted by runoff from a busy road. A regular fruit tree? It wouldn't stand a chance. But the Cornelian cherry? That's exactly where it shines. It's a true urban survivor. All right, at number 3, things get really interesting. We're taking a huge leap here because this next tree, it doesn't just survive in bad soil, it actively makes the soil better just by growing there. Let me introduce you to sea buckthorn. This plant is so powerful, so good at repairing the earth, that it's used in massive land reclamation projects. We're talking about rebuilding ground that, for all intents and purposes, is considered completely dead. So get this. While most fruit trees are just taking nutrients out of your soil, sea buckthorn is actually giving back. It's what's called a nitrogen fixer, just like peas or clover. It literally pulls nitrogen, a key fertilizer, right out of the atmosphere and puts it into the soil. It creates fertility where there was nothing. And hey, while it's busy doing all that amazing work fixing your soil, it's also producing these incredibly nutritious little berries. Just how nutritious are we talking? Well, they have 7 times, 7, the amount of vitamin C as an orange. That's a true superfood right there. Okay, we're down to number 2. This next tree was so incredibly valuable to American pioneers that they planted one on pretty much every single homestead as they moved west. It wasn't just a fruit tree, it was literally a tool for survival. Yep, it's the American persimmon. This tree was an absolute key to survival on the frontier. Why? Because it thrived in that tough, untreated rocky clay soil you find all over the eastern and central parts of the country. It would grow where absolutely nothing else the pioneers brought with them would even take root. So what's its secret? It has this incredible, massive taproot that just drills deep down into the ground, searching for water that other trees can't even reach. And that's what lets it just laugh off the kind of drought and terrible soil that would kill your average apple, peach, or cherry tree in a heartbeat. And now, the moment we've been waiting for, the number 1 most incredible producer for bad soil. And folks, this isn't just a tree. It's more like an ancient living monument that has been feeding humanity from what looks like impossible ground for thousands and thousands of years. The scale of this is just mind-boggling. I mean, you can go to the Mediterranean right now and visit olive trees that were already ancient when Julius Caesar was around. And they are still producing fruit today, growing out of what looks like nothing but pure rock. And this right here brings us to the most important lesson of this entire countdown. That bad soil you've been so worried about, for an olive tree, it's not a problem. It's a preference. In fact, it actually produces better, more flavorful fruit when it's a little bit stressed. Isn't that incredible? So here's the big takeaway from all this. You know, the gardening industry makes a lot of money selling us expensive bags of stuff to fix our soil. But what every single one of these trees proves is that the soil is rarely the real problem. You just have to find the right tree. For them, your bad soil is exactly what they call home. So if this explainer got you rethinking what's actually possible in your own yard, do me a favor and hit that like button and definitely subscribe for more of this forgotten wisdom. And I really want to know, tell me in the comments, what kind of bad soil are you dealing with? Because these trees, they've been proving the experts wrong for millennia, and I bet one of them is ready to get to work for you.